The 28th and 29th passed quietly. Well, most of the 29th. 1 p.m. the 29th. Jim arrives at the office building in downtown Abilene, where he sits in a foyer reception area on the first floor. At 3 p.m., he had an appointment agreement for an interview with Clark Wendell, who is the erstwhile director of the Small Business Development Center in Abilene. Meanwhile, JR is in his room studying and listening to the Andrew House Weekend Minute. Bill Clinton is trying to ramp up Democratic support. It's all the while he's raising a defense of his sole defense on white vote falls apart all around him. The grapevine around the Attorney General is saying that Webster Hubbell wants to resign. Bill Clinton gets told a different thing. Ken McDonald was staying at the library as always. JR had tried calling Brad the day before. No answer. He had a feeling that there might be some problems between him and Brad. 3:40 p.m. JR leaves the Center for Public Affairs after an advocacy session with Brent Clark. Brent was interviewing JR for his Monday morning byline about welfare reform. He gets into his Hummer where Darren hands him a root beer. 4:40 p.m. JR is having an early dinner at Audie Steakhouse with Andrew Shelford, who had been accepted to spend a year studying journalism at Patrick Henry College in Purcellville, Virginia. Andrew's father was a well-known communication studies professor at Tech, who jump-started his son's scholarship at Patrick Henry College upon graduation this May. Meanwhile, Jim arrives home from Abilene, and Kyle arrives home from Amarillo. After selling some Angus cattle, well, Jim and Kyle go into the main house to dote on little Andrew. $6:30 p.m. Jim goes and sits on the back patio of the ranch house to smoke a cigarette. Betsy is upstairs talking to the hired caterer, Art, about the Easter barbecue at the ranch. 7:10 p.m. After a lengthy dinner with Andrew, JR gets Darren to drop him off briefly at Coleman Hall to see Jennifer Bowers, to ask her out on a date. Dinner at the Spirit Club. Some talk time at the entrance fountain. Drinks at the snack bar at Sneed. And a goodnight hug. Jennifer tells JR she has accepted a job potential interview as an interview reporter for KTTU, a radio station independent of the university, yet owned by the Center for Public Affairs. She then hands him a package to open, a belated birthday present. It was a large print copy of John C. Maxwell's developing the leader within you. JR gives her a quick kiss, hugs her, and walks away. 9 p.m. Back in the dorm, JR is talking to Kevin McDonald in the living room. Tomorrow, he would attend the Sunday morning services at the Spirit Club. Then join Charie Nation and Cousin Joe for lunch. And then the full evening date with Jennifer Bowers. 3:50 a.m. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Festus is up milking the cows. Kyle would be up at 5 a.m. helping him feed the cattle. He's also supposed to load up a prize bull to go to a rodeo in Jal, New Mexico. 5:20 a.m. JR wakes up and puts on his headphones to listen to the radio. The Blake Carter Minute came on. But whoa! Jocelyn Elders wants to campaign to put condoms in school. Just makes my blood curdle. Just makes my blood curdle. My mama told me that when she used to rock me as a baby up in Jerusalem, she'd pray the world would not have contraceptives. Bill Clinton should know safe sex is a joke. He turns off the radio and head towards the book that Jennifer had given him. 6:40 a.m. JR takes out his King James Bible he received as a graduation present from Granddad Swain. He cherished that Bible and kept hold of it until he began teaching law in 2003. Meanwhile, Kyle is going throughout all the barns, feeding the cattle, going on a horse ride with flashlights. They are listening to Aerosmith on Festus' portable jambox. Festus had been a friend of his since kindergarten. However, they lost touch when Granddad Swain had Kyle transferred to Alamo Prep. But they would connect again for the 2 years that he would be at Reese Prep. 10:15 a.m. At the Spirit Club Sunday morning service, Owen Bartley is professor of public relations at Lubbock Christian University. Gave a talk about the atonement of Jesus Christ, and JR takes copious notes. 1:15 p.m. The dining hall is closed, so JR, Brent, and Charlie go to the student union to have wimpy subs. So Brent, tell me that you have a date tonight with. So Brent told me that you had a date tonight with Jennifer Bowers. What are your plans? Charlie asked. Dinner at the Spirit Club, Sunday evening service, talk time at the fountain, and drinks at the Sneed snack bar. No hanky-panky? No funny business? Knock it off, Charlie, Brent said. Ignore him, JR. He's just infatuated with her. Oh, hell, Charlie said. I'd see her walking to the business school in the morning. And I'd be weak in the knees, not being able to concentrate on my schoolwork, and wouldn't eat. Shut up, man, Jar said. I remember coming back from summer camp when I was 14 years old, and Mama was gone for a few days, and Daddy had this pretty little singer up in the house with us, and I had to go to the lake fishing. And when I caught one, I thought I caught one, it wasn't. I looked around, saw him making out with her, and started crying. Yeah, you told me about that last fall. Yeah, you told me about that last fall, Brent said. You lost all respect for him until you turned 18. And he sent you back and forth for him to Austin to lobby for his company. Okay, so your dad was a jerk. Still a jerk. But he's still my kind of jerk, Charlie said. How's that appointment coming up? He don't talk to me that much anymore. He's so fixated on Kyle proving himself worthy to be his son. 1:35 p.m. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Jim, Betsy, and Elizabeth take turns holding Andrew Cade. Yesterday, Betsy had come up with a nickname for him in the family that stuck. The family would affectionately call him Stooby, Stoobie. 2 p.m. Jill arrives back at Gordon Hall when he sees a white Ford truck. It was Uncle Carl, cousin Max, and Aunt Donna get out. Uncle Carl, Jill said. We moved here because Jessica is going to college in New Mexico. We want to keep an eye on you, Carl said. It seems to me all your father cares about is getting into power in Washington. It's not your fault, Junior, Donna said. You were always such a sweet boy. It's all a game to your father, man, Carl said. That's why I stopped talking to him so much. Let's see inside the college dorm room, Max said excitedly. They walk into Jared's dorm room. Your mom asked us to keep an eye on you, Donna said. Like I told you when you were 17. If you ever need anything, just call me, Carl said. What makes you and Dad so different? Jared said. Soon it became apparent when we started wildcatting. He wanted power, sheer force, and power, and get rich. I just wanted to get rich. 5 p.m. With his Uncle Carl gone, Dare is in his room listening to the Blake Carter show. We all know last year Bill Clinton signed the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. But does he care if religion is free? I wouldn't think so when he has Jocelyn Elders and his wife Hillary running around the country